Yo, what's going on, everybody? Good evening. This is Six Rings Kane Show. We're back at it again. Happy New Year's to everybody. Happy New Year. We weren't on last week, but obviously we know that the game was canceled, the Sun Bowl was canceled, and all that good stuff. So we're back at it now for 2022. I'm really excited for our guest today on the show with the green screen. The green screen
That's green right now.
with our boys DJ, Danny Gillette, Vish, and of course the one and only Mr. Stevo. What's going on, fellas? How you guys doing?
I'll go first, man. Well, I mean,
Good, good. How are you?
You're the
How's
guest.
everybody?
You're the guest, Stevo. You got to go first, man.
Yeah, man.
man, I'm good. I'm feeling great. I had a great day today, so it's flowing. And now we talking Canes. Coach got announced today, which was crazy. We do that. Like we actually acknowledge that we hired somebody, so that's cool.
I know while all the fans are going crazy trying to figure it out who the OC is and the DC is. So that's gonna be fun. Um, we're really excited to have you on. Obviously, man. Excited for everything. We're definitely going to talk about all of that. Before we get into it, Vish, we definitely want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors. We have two sponsors on tonight's show, which is awesome. The first one is definitely going to be everything trade shows. That's what it's called. If you want to put it up there real quick, it's the trade show booth design. It's really awesome. So listen, even with everything that's going on right now, trade shows are back. Does your here? I'm gonna just spill the beans here. Does your company go to trade shows? Do you need a trade show exhibit? Do you need help to get it going again? Maybe your marketing team isn't fully back yet. You definitely need a one-stop shop. This is what everything trade shows does. They'll handle logistics, the booth, the graphics, furniture, flooring, and even some tips to help you get noticed. They'll teach you the difference between renting versus buying. It's based right in Fort Lauderdale, right there, right. I think it's right next door to Steve-O, actually. No, I'm just kidding. It's right. It's based in Fort Lauderdale, off of Las Olas, but they can service all 50 states, which is amazing. So make sure you schedule a free consultation. Any business owners, anybody going out to these trade shows, pharmaceutical reps, so on and so forth. Plus, if you mention 5 reasons, you'll get a free booth rendering as well, which is always important, right? You kind of want to know what your booth looks like. You'll definitely get a free booth rendering. Mention 5 reasons. And also the phone number is 954-791-8882. Again, 954-791-8882. It's everythingtradeshows.com. So, and by the way, big shout out to Tico, big Canes fan as well. So thank you so much, Everything Trade Shows. Let's get right into it, baby. Let's do it. I guess the biggest news today was that they finally went ahead and start. Well, I guess for the past couple of days, they've been announcing a couple new coaches, right? Alex Murbaugh was, I think, the first domino to kind of land. He's kind of the first one that put up stuff on his Twitter account and all that. That he was finally a Miami Hurricane, but we kind of knew it when we saw a lot of these players getting offered and then tagging Cristobal while he was still in Oregon coaching up there. So it was kind of funny. But today was Brian Mcclendon's turn. So what we all kind of had an idea that Coach Mcclendon was going to come down here and be the wide receivers coach. But the new tag that he got also was the co-offensive coordinator. Before anybody says anything about co-offensive coordinator, because Twitter just freaked out, and me and Steve actually were talking a little bit on Twitter about how they just freaked out about, oh my God, co-offensive coordinator. If you have two, relax, people. First of all the top teams in the country have co-offensive coordinators. Doesn't mean he's going to be calling plays. Doesn't mean that he is going to be doing none of that stuff. Okay, so I definitely want to get Steve-O's, your kind of take on Brian Mcclendon as the wide receivers coach and the co-offensive coordinator. Let these fans know exactly what that means, what that title means for Coach Mcclendon.
Yeah, BMAC. So Coach BMAC, we've known for a while that he was coming, but he was the interim head coach for Oregon, so he obviously had to wait for that bowl game to go, and now it's finally out. But there was like things up in the air. Was BMAC going to be the running backs coach because he has a great background in that, and he's built up a receivers coach background as well. He's been an OC at South Carolina, and a lot of people, the first thing is he got fired. No, Will Muschamp got fired. There's every time you fire a coach, good coaches go. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. I feel like when Manny got fired, so Likens went. You know, I thought Likens was a really good receivers coach. So anytime you get fired, you lose good coaches. BMAC was that guy. If you look at this man's recruiting history, it makes complete sense why Mario is tied to him, why he's tied to Mario, excuse me. Like it makes complete sense when you look at what he's done. He's came down to American Heritage. He took Joystick, which is Isaiah McKenzie. He took Sony Michelle. It was like he just went over there and just took them from everybody. So his recruiting chops is excellent. As a receiver, I to be honest, I wanted him more as a running back coach, but I knew he's good enough to be our receivers coach because he had more of a power game, in his resume being at Georgia and stuff. But when he went to South Carolina, he did develop Debo Samuel. He did develop Brian Edwards. Those are two receivers in the NFL, and so I get it. And then Joe Moorhead, I think, would just not justice for receivers in that offense. So his receivers at Oregon didn't do much. But I think BMAC is definitely certified. The meat, I guess, is the co-OC. What that means is we might have an offensive coordinator that wants to be in the booth, and BMAC is literally just on the sideline. That could literally be all that means. And then you just pay him more. I mean, we're spending $8 million on a staff. That's how you do it. You give a guy a title. He's been passing game coordinators. He's been a running game coordinator. He's been an OC himself. That's a smart move. You get that guy to be on the background implementing everything at the position that he knows the offensive coordinator is looking for. So I mean, the co-OC thing, he's not going to call plays. He's going to, as a passing game coordinator, he's already going to be helping the OC with the concepts based on what he thinks his receivers could run and what they're good at to highlight their strengths. So I mean, that's what a passing game coordinator does. So he would already been involved to that capacity anyway. Literally, co-OC is not going to do anything else but give him a big check, and he deserves it. Because if we want coaches of his with his resume, we got to pay him.
Yep, 100%. Vish, how do you feel about BMAC as the new wide receiver slash co-OC coach?
I feel great about it. He's Steve-O just ran through his qualifications. This dude is legit. I also just think I get where our fans are coming from. The Dolphins rolled out co-OCs. We saw how that worked. So there's a lot of overlap there. So I get just the thought of that makes people freak out. And obviously we've had, let's just say, coaching issues for 2 decades on the college level. So I can get where the where the kind of the hand wringing is. But I would just say, look, we spent all this money on Mario. Can we at least let him finish his staff before we start freaking out? We've hired a handful of coaches. If you're like, oh my god, we've blown it, and it's like we don't have the whole staff yet. Do we trust Mario? I believe we do. We should. That's why we put all these resources into him. So let's just let him build his staff. And I think one of the things we kind of underrate when we play essentially fantasy football with coaching staffs, which is what we all do, right? Is what's the dynamic of these coaches working together? This is a high stress environment. You're putting in long hours. You're spending a lot of time together. If you don't get along with the other coaches, you can be the best tactician. It's still gonna fail. And I think we spent way too much time worrying about style this and kind of what are they bringing in that sense without thinking about how they're gonna fit into this overall coaching staff unit. And this is someone that Mario's worked with. He's obviously very comfortable with. You need that. You cannot have 10 people that have never worked together all show up on a staff and try to gel together. You need some people that have worked together in the past. So he's brought in some of his trusted guys. He obviously didn't bring the whole staff over, but he brought in a few guys that he knew he would work well with, that he trusted to kind of build the foundation of the staff, and now he'll fill the rest in. So I have zero issues with this hire, and as Steve-O said, he's been an SEC offensive coordinator, this guy. So bringing him in as essentially wide receivers coach, and if you read his Twitter, he did just put wide receivers coach. I think the co-OC thing is kind of just, as we mentioned, throw him a bone, gives him a little bit more money. He's not calling the plays, but this is a home run hire. Yeah, it's a respect thing. We respect him, so we'll give him that title. But I mean, this is getting this guy as a wide receivers coach when he has that resume that's a slam dunk.
Listen to the names, right? Steve will mention, Sony Michelle, Isaiah McKenzie, AJ Green.
Yeah,
he coached Todd Gurley. He coached Keith Marshall, Debo Samuel. He coached Debo Samuel. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I think Lorenzo Carter, I think he recruited as well at Georgia. And if anybody knows Lorenzo Carter,
he recruits
that was a bad
other
man.
positions.
Right. He doesn't just recruit like the wide receivers and running backs. So understand something. And by the way, another Miami Hurricane tie, right? He was coached by Mark Richt at Georgia, okay, when he played at Georgia. And then he coached under Mark Richt, right? So, I mean, this kid, again, a lot of people, keep talking about, and I know I'm kind of digressing a little bit, but I think it's important to talk about this because we want everybody to understand this. Like, a lot of people talk about how, well, we don't always have to get everybody that has Miami ties. The problem is now everybody's got Miami ties now, right? Like everybody is from the Miami tree. Everybody's from the Nick Saban tree. Everybody's from the Bill Belichick tree. At this point, everybody is like that, right? So like it doesn't mean that it's 6 degrees of separation. And maybe this is a coach that used to play for a coach that used to coach at Miami. There's a lot of that, right? But Miami's everywhere, and there's no and if you're a good coach, you're a good coach. And so people have to understand that Miami was the epicenter of college football when it came to players getting drafted, coaches coming here to coach, whether it was one-stop shop or coming here and then leaving again. I mean, this is where it was. This is where development was. This is where everybody kind of cut their teeth or won national championships. And then they kind of spread out there, spread out and went elsewhere. And so everybody is basically, I kind of feel like that's how it is, right? Oh, look who showed up, baby. Look who showed up, daddy. Oh, shit.
My twin's in here, so I had to pull through.
Okay. All right.
I got my green screen that's hella green today.
You know what people can do with the green screen, right? So
yeah, bro. And you know what's the craziest thing about a green screen, bro? Is you can't wear green. It messes up.
No, you can't. Yeah, it does.
So I was just like, bro, I got pump faked. I was like, I should have got a blue one.
The blue screen. But real quick, and I just wanted to kind of say that because a lot of people are always talking about we don't always have to get everybody from Miami. It's just the fact of the matter is that that's
and you bring up a good point. I mean, this is kind of a sad thing to say, but our prime as a program, like those players that came through here are now of age where they're in like the prime of their coaching.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the it's kind of a sad statement, but like late 80s through like early 2000s, that if you were in college at that time, now is like when you're peaking as a coach. So yeah, there's a lot of Miami people that are coaches now that have ties to our program because that's when we were on top, those people are of coaching age.
Shout out to Bubba McDowell who just got the job over at Prairie View A&M. So real quick, because we don't have a lot of time with Steve, so I want to kind of get to to another name that's being talked. Actually, you know what? Before we even get to that, I really wanted to talk to Steve and Max and everyone and Danny. Y'all can chime in on this also, but is just going back to Alex Murbaugh, right? And we talk about this all the time on the Discord and Zoom whenever we can chop it up a little bit, but what's important is, and for those of you that understand, this staff is already set, right? It's just a matter of being announced, putting some pieces together, like the running back. Obviously, Jim Mastro was going to be the coach. Health issues kind of voided that, and then of course some other little pieces as analysts or maybe a position coach here and there. But for the most part, it's pretty much set up. So now we're talking about a guy that's in the mix now is Kevin Smith, the running backs coach, who again has ties to Miami as well. He's from the area, played at UCF, coach and made a couple stops at a couple different places. He is now the running backs coach over at Ole Miss, who had the number one running game in the SEC a couple years ago, number 2 this year. So what I kind of want to talk to you about, Steve-O, is not only Kevin Smith, but Alex Murbaugh as the offensive line coach, and how important it is to get a guy that'll gel with BMAC and Kevin Smith and Murbaugh as the offensive coordinator, right? Like, how important is it for all of them to kind of have something that kind of makes sense to put together, if you know what I mean? Because I know we've talked about it before and say, hey, well, Murbaugh likes to run this type of scheme for his offensive lineman, or he likes to do this with his offensive lineman. How important it is to have an offensive coordinator come in and be able to say, okay, perfect, I can work with that.
Yeah. I personally think that's why Kendall Browse is going to be the OC. Because Joe Moorhead, Oregon's running game was very successful while Mario was there, and what they ran an inverted veer, so they let their linemen let D linemen go and get to the second level, and have running backs cut behind. It's a lot. It's lit. The Veer is like an old offense, is like basically as old as you can get. So having those type of concepts, you don't see them like a lot. But Murbaugh having coached that, really good at recruiting linemen who could do that at a high level, him being so familiar with it. And then you thinking about the route tree, it's going to be, the route tree is not going to be, a bunch. Like, it's not going to be like, yo, you're running, 15 different types of routes. You're going to be running posts, drags, digs, quick outs, curls, stops. You're not going to be running like crazy routes. So like, I think BMAC is more than qualified to handle that. And his experience with being able to, help with running backs or receivers, whatever the case may be. And then Kevin Smith, he only needs a spread offense, bro. He could coach any running back as long as it's in a spread, and he can have his guy be a threat out of the backfield. Because I think that's one of the things that Lane does very well, is when you get him as a threat out of the backfield, we're so much worried about, what's happening, that you could just give him on counters. You can get him on quick separation and trick plays. You can get it back to him. And I think that's what Kevin Smith would fit really well, especially if Kendall Briles is the OC.
Max, how do you feel about the hiring of BMAC? Talks about Kevin Smith as well, and even the OC talk, and how you feel everything's gonna play out.
Man, me and Steve-O got into it about BMAC, man, because Steve-O's like, and I'm a huge Rob Likens guy, Absolutely love him. Would have loved for him to be here. I would have loved for
I told
BMAC
him
to be.
I told him I had my issues with BMAC at first.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. Like, it's an upgrade. Like, BMAC is certified at what he does. He can recruit nationally. He's got no problems. He can recruit multiple positions. He's not just a coach that's going to recruit wide receivers. He's going to help recruit running backs. He's going to help recruit whatever he needs to do. There's a reason why he got the co-OC title, because Mario knows how important he is, and wanted to give him some more money to be able to get him all the way out here. But I mean, you go down the list, starting at Georgia. Mohamed Massaquoi played in the league. AJ Green played in the league. Then you had Isaiah McKenzie plays in the league. Debo Samuel, one of the best receivers.
Crowell.
Yeah, Isaiah Crowell. You have Todd Gurley, Nick Chubb,
Sony.
So yeah, Sony Michel, Keith Marshall. It just, the list continues to go on and on and on. And go look at what the numbers that Oregon put up this year. And one of their running backs was out half the year, and they still put up like 2,000 yards rushing, or all-purpose, out of their running back room, which is crazy. So I mean, it's a home run hire. Not really a better guy in the game, because he's so versatile. He can do multiple things. He's been an OC before at South Carolina. He can coach running backs. He can coach wide receivers. So that was big time. And then Murbaugh, I mean, you got the best O-line coach in the country. There's nothing else. And he gets to come home. Nothing else to say on that.
That's a wrap. And then lastly,
just wait.
I hope
boy's about to start sliding 5 stars.
Well, I mean, we already see what's going to happen here on the 28th, and obviously even this weekend. I think it's going to be huge as well. I think it's going to be
bigger than
nice
people
weekend.
think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really nice weekend. Chug my beer. Appreciate the love with the $5 dono. Happy New Year to everyone. I'm wishing you all the best. Canes for life. Always Chug my beer, always coming through, man. So we appreciate that. Yeah, remember when FTW 305 MDC says, remember Rick wanted him on the staff when he came, but settled for Dugans when BMAC got the USC, the South Carolina job.
That would have been insane if we had BMAC at that point.
Yeah, I think things would have been a little different.
He would have been there for like a year and would have been an OC at like.
Yeah, but I'm thinking what I think was maybe Rick doesn't fall on the sword. He might have just let BMAC coach be the OC. You know what I'm saying? It could have been that's the biggest what if ever. I thought about that earlier today, about if BMAC came when we were talking about it in Discord. I was like, damn, BMAC came, like Rick probably just, promotes him to OC and then, just lets him play calling go.
Yep. Before we let you go, Steve, one last thing, and I hope that A Black comes on today, talks about this guy, because obviously, being a northeaster guy like DJ up here, and I definitely want to get Danny. I want to get your thoughts on this. The rumors are swirling that Boston College's what is he? The
Cornerback coach.
he's the cornerbacks coach. That's right. Azar Abdul Rahim. Did I say that right? Azar Abdul Rahim.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So
Yes.
you know, sounds right. Don't ask Flo. Don't ask Flo to say it. Rumors are swirling that he is going to interview. He has interviewed. He's going to interview. Obviously, you know, this camp keeps it close to the vest as well. But I kind of want to get your take on where he fits in best. Is he going to come in as an analyst, or what's your thoughts on Azar? You know what his name is?
Yeah,
Everybody calls him Azar. So
Yeah, Azar. There we go.
Yeah,
Azar.
I'm gonna call him Hazard then too. I don't think you leave a cornerbacks coach job at Boston College to be an analyst. So if he was interviewing, I think it would be probably for the cornerbacks job. There was reports saying that it wasn't true, that Boston College didn't have nothing to worry about. So I'm just sitting back because I'm pretty sure, you know, the cornerback coach is going to have some T-Rob is going to have some input on that. And I don't know if he knows bro like that. And I'm not saying he's trash or he's cheeks, but I don't know if that's the type of hire Mario going to bring. I think great teams rival each other with good cornerback coaches versus good receiver coaches. And then those positions go hand in hand because you need good receivers to fine tune your DBs so they don't get beat up on Saturdays. You need good DBs to lock your receivers up so they don't get jammed up off the line on Saturdays. So those two positions intertwine. You cannot have one that's significantly better than the other because then that's going to throw you out of balance. So I don't know if that would be the guy. Not saying he's not qualified, but I don't know. I think that Mario would have, you know, somebody as to match what BMAC brings to the table, or just let T-Rob coach DB straight up. Like I would rather that.
I feel you. Steve, let them know where they can find you and what you got going on, man.
Yeah, that's my at for Twitter, 365 Canes Info. For the 365 Canes football page, you can catch me on Canes Insight show. We go live at 9. That's why I gotta get up out of here. So if you guys, whenever you guys done with Jazz show, man, slide through. And yeah, just be breaking down film. I gotta, once Kendall Browse, if he's announced, I honestly don't know. I got something coming for him, bro. I really enjoy his offense, so I'm super excited if that. And then whoever else, if it is somebody else, then I'm gonna enjoy breaking down that tape.
Awesome. And by the way, I wasn't joking about it. Let me know when you need a quarterback to sling the rock to some of these cats. You don't know about this. This is the right arm of God. All right.
I bet Max Noah got the squat, man.
If you had Jazz flexing his muscles in the drinking game, go ahead and take that shot. You know.
Yeah.
that wasn't even flexing. And look at that thing. That wasn't even flexing.
Oh yeah, man. As long as you can throw that bit deep, man, you can come through. Because we like to go up top.
Pump, pass, and kick champion right here, baby. Let's go.
Hey. Yeah. All right, y'all boys. Y'all have a good rest of y'all show, man.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Dan, before we get to Max on that, because and by the way, hold on a second. Me and Vish got something.
Oh yeah, that's right. Nice Texas orange.
There it is. That's a swag. Hey, Danny, you shut your mouth.
Yeah. No, this is the correct orange. I swear to God, it's not the wrong shade of orange.
We're sweaty. That's the gear you can go ahead and get on fire.
It's also available in black if you're concerned about the orange, but yeah.
It's just the camera. It's just the camera.
It's the camera.
It is.
I need that ring light. I need that ring light behind me. So
that is our new merch, though.
New merch on the 5reasonsports.com. But real quick, Danny, anything that you can kind of talk about? Oh, there he is. I couldn't see the muscle. Orange sleeve must have blended with the orange background. Gary Cappan. I love Gary.
Yo,
what up, Gary?
breaking news though. Breaking news.
Oh boy.
Nesta Silvera just entered the transfer portal.
There it is.
It looks like Mario kicked somebody out already.
Yep, Nesta is gone, huh? Enter the transfer portal. Listen, for those of you that might be shocked, we really weren't that shocked, right? Right, Max. I looked at your name and it said Miami Flow. I'm like, hold on a second, what's going on there? Max, I mean, we kind of saw the writing on the wall with some of those guys, and especially a guy like Nesta entering the transfer portal. I mean, you know, it is what it is, right?
Do you remember what Lycan's hashtag was for his receivers?
What was it? I don't remember.
DBS, don't be soft.
There you go.
That's
it. That's all you need to know. We'll get to that, but real quick, Danny, any light that you can shed on Azar? or anything, or just Boston College as a whole? Because I know you're up there and you kind of might know a little bit more about that than us.
Well, the interesting thing about this is that Jeff Haffley, the head coach, has signed a 5-year extension. Now we all know, as we've seen the past couple of weeks, college football coaches and players can come and go as they please. It's like the wild, wild west in the world of college football right now. I will say that up here in Massachusetts, college football is not king. Pro sports are king. So if Raheem was looking to maybe expand his, resume in the coaching world, Miami could be a good place for him to do that. Um, I mean, I'll be interested to see what he does throughout Haffley's 5 years at Boston College if Haffley stays at BC, because he does have an impressive resume, especially recently. He coached Darnell Savage, J.C. Jackson, and he is a very good coach. I think, you know, I don't know, like you guys had said, if he would leave for an analyst position, but he certainly has a good football mind, so I'll be interested to see how his coaching career kind of plays out.
Those are some good names, right, Max? I mean, Darnell Savage. Those are some pretty good names too. How do you feel about Azar, and do you think he's a good fit here?
Let me tell you something about him, because this dude's been around longer than people think. First off, he was at Alabama with Mario. So, connection one. Who runs the football program at Boston College?
Oh, yeah. A guy by the name of Rod Chudzinski?
Yeah, okay. Tie number 2. Think about Ishmael Aristides on steroids as a recruiter. And he's already on steroids as a recruiter.
So
Ish
is
Ish
like
is on Ish is a hell of a recruiter. He was like Texas A&M's best recruiter when he was there. That's Azar times like 10. So it doesn't matter what position. Like if Mario wants him and he's interested, Mario will get him. He'll pay him more money as an analyst than he makes in a 10-year contract at Boston College if that's who Mario wants. And it's no slide on Boston College, but what Mario wants, he gets.
Right.
People don't understand that. What Mario wants, he gets.
And I think we're playing This is a different brand of football now too, with the whole you don't make that move from a quarterback coach to an analyst. Well, I mean, you see the big boys doing it, right? You see Alabama's of the world and the Georgia's of the world and all these people that do it. They get these big time coaches or these up and coming coaches to take lateral or quote unquote demotions, right? They pay them more money. They're an analyst. They're still involved with the everyday, planning of game planning and recruiting and all that stuff. So I don't know if it's going to be. It won't be a demotion, really. It really won't.
It's
right?
also possible that he's getting a job on the actual field. Like, it's possible he could be the safeties coach and T-Rob could be going back to corners. It's possible that he could be the corners coach. It's possible that Ole Miss, their DC just left. It's possible that they go after T-Rob. So it's possible that he's going to be on the field. Like, nobody's solidified what his role would be here. I just know Mario is somewhat interested in him.
Awesome.
If I got offered by Miami from Boston College, I would go to Miami to second. I mean, Boston College, it's a good football school, but it's nothing like Miami.
Just tell them to look out the window right now at the weather and then be like, you really want to...
Yeah, which one am I going to go to? No, but pro sports is king up here. He would have a much more, I think, better collegiate future down in Miami, but we'll see. I mean, like you guys said, anybody can throw any sum of money, it seems like these days, so I'll be interested to see what happens. I really will.
Max, before we let you go, because I know you got a meeting now coming up.
I'm real busy. Got business meetings now. It's crazy.
Oh, look at me! Real quick, because I know this is a really important weekend for recruiting. The Army All-American Bowl is coming up. We're expecting, some guys to make their announcements on where they're going to commit. Maybe some good news, maybe some really good news, maybe some amazing news. What can we expect as the Canes fans this weekend? And, you don't have to name names or anything like that. Because, look, we already know that Kevin Coleman, Cyrus Moss, some of those guys, I'm obviously missing a few more. And I have the roster here in front of me now. But, I know there's a lot of guys that are that are going to commit or that are playing in this game that are big time players? What can we expect?
Fireworks.
I mean,
Mario is here to make a statement, and it's going to be starting this weekend, and it's going to go all the way up till about midway through February. Trust me, it's going down.
So are we clean sweeping or what? Clean sweep?
We're going to get a lot of the people that we want.
I think we're going to get guys that people don't realize we are.
We're recruiting people that nobody knows we're recruiting. There's someone that just entered the portal. Miami's known he's going to be in the portal for like the last month. Like, they're ahead of everybody.
Are we talking about this the wide receiver Antoine, the kid from James Madison? We talked about that he just entered.
There's more than one.
Well, I can imagine. But by the way, that's one that did. We need a fresh 3542 says we need Nesta. Do we need Nesta, guys?
No. No.
Only if he wanted to work hard and stop fighting everybody on the team.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
But anyways, I gotta go to my meeting, so I will talk to you guys later.
All right, cool guy.
Nah.
Remember us when you get famous.
Nah, it's nothing crazy like that. But I appreciate you guys having me on. I'll be on again soon.
Always.
Thank you.
Yep.
Take it easy. Go ahead. What were you gonna say, Danny?
I'll tell you, one of the guys that I was looking at in the All-American Bowl, he's actually practicing for it this week, I think, is the running back Travante Citizen. I watched some of his film, I believe earlier this week, and boy, he was pretty damn impressive. He's got offers from a bunch of schools, and he's been talking to a bunch of schools, but he did say that Miami was one of the schools that he has been in most contact with.
Yeah, I think that's one that we really need to keep our eye on.
Yeah.
Because that could be one of the big ones that and for some reason I try to pull up this damn roster and it doesn't let me. But before we get to that, if you guys could pull up the roster for the Army under the Army game, the Army All-American game, that's the one that's going to be this weekend. I can kind of talk about it too. I don't know why the roster is not pulling up. But before we get to that, we'll talk about our second sponsor, by the way, which we're really excited about because I think some of us definitely do use it and we do play on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is awesome. prizepicks.com. Go to the website. It's real simple, right? So this is what you do. You pick your favorite stars, right? So your favorite athletes, or just pick a couple guys. You can select between 2 and 5 players, regardless of the sport, actually. So you can go to the NBA, you can choose MLB, you can choose NFL, and for this weekend's national championship game, actually for Monday's championship game, you can choose players there as well. So it's really cool. You choose them, right? You pick the players between 2 and 5 players. Then you choose their over under. So there's a lot of different over unders, right? So you can choose their over under on yards, receptions, on touchdowns, a lot of different things, right? You can choose the over under on the score, on the halftime score. I mean, there's so many different options. Definitely want to check that out, and then basically watch and see if you win. You can hit up I believe it's you can choose like a 3-pick or all 5 guys. If you hit on if you hit on 3 out of the 5, you make a nice chunk of change. If you hit on all 5, you hit you basically hit the jackpot there. So it's really easy. Once you get on there, you go to prizepicks.com. Once you sign in, make sure you enter the code 5. Once you enter the code 5, they will actually match your initial deposit up to, I think it's $100 if I'm not mistaken. But definitely check that out. prizepicks.com. They're awesome. They're really great. We'll actually be posting some stuff on Twitter this week coming up and this weekend going into the national championship game for Prize Picks, so you guys can get in on it as well. And maybe we can have some fun picking against each other. That'll be kind of cool. So prizepicks.com. Make sure you sign in with code 5. Use the code 5 and you'll get a match on your deposit. Yeah, that's the site I was looking at, Danny, but for some reason I can't get it. I don't know why. But real quick before we even get to that, Antoine, I believe his name is what's his name again, man? Antoine Wells, right? That's his name, Ant Wells. Okay, he's a new transfer from James Madison. He's a wide receiver. Had 15 touchdowns. He had 1,250 yards receiving, 83 catches this year for James Madison. What people don't know, yes, James Madison was an FCS school. They are now going to be an FBS school, and I think they're joining either the AAC, Conference USA, Sun Belt, something like that. They're joining one of those conferences. That's a big name to kind of watch out for now in the transfer portal. There's a couple other names that are going to start coming out in the transfer portal as well to keep a close eye on. But I think what's important is how exciting we're going to be about the All American Bowl, because there's some big time players. I know we all know the Cyrus Mosses of the world, Kevin Coleman, who by the way is absolutely dominating so far in practice, which is fun to see. We want to see him do it in the games. Travante Citizen is another one that you mentioned, Danny. A lot of guys in this game that are big time prospects for Miami. So I think that it's interesting to kind of understand that this could go any way here. Chances are we're going to have a really really interesting and exciting January 8th. So I think everybody needs to tune in for that. Let's see. What up, Flo? There he is.
Flo is in the chat.
Look at
Why
Flo.
why isn't Flo backstage?
Flo, you want to come on or what? Let me know if you want to come on. I'll shoot it over to you right now. Let me know. I'll shoot it over to you right now. I'm not even playing with you, man. Great show as usual. Oh, it's
Well, we can tell he hasn't been watching, but no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. Oh man. Real quick before we hopefully we get no, leave me alone. Oh man,
Flo is like his own media empire at this point, man. This is night off.
He wants nothing to do with us, but you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna send it to him anyways, because that's what I do. That is what I do. What's your take on what's going on? I know, Vish, that you usually don't follow recruiting too hard, right? But we all know those big names. Like, what does this mean that if Mario can pull off all these big time players, these 5-star athletes that are all playing in this game?
Well, I mean, I think what that does, it's everything that we're doing at this point is almost for appearance's sake. We're showing that we are a big time program. So bringing Mario in, stealing Oregon's coach, right? That's a big time move. That's stuff that big time programs do, which we have not done in the past. So if he comes in here and lands this plane, which by the way, this recruiting class was a disaster before he came in. Like if he pulls in, he doesn't have to pull in all of them or anything like that. If he ends with like a strong class, that just shows that, the trajectory is up. Because I think that exceeds expectations at this point. We know what the class was when Manny was here, and it was it was not good. He basically kept everyone with a couple of exceptions, and then he's building off of that now. This is really impressive what he's doing, even getting into play for all these kids, because a lot of them were not even picking the phone up before he came in. So
right.
So this has already been a great recovery. I definitely expect Cyrus Moss and Kevin Coleman. I think those are two I would expect to commit to us for sure. And even just that would be a pretty big win for us.
I want to go back up really quick and kind of take some questions here from FTW. He wrote another one, FTW 305 FDC. Would you all be in favor of bringing in Ohio State tight end and offensive coordinator coach for an interview? I believe his name is Kevin Wilson. Look, here's the thing, right? Manny knows who he wants to bring in. Manny's already brought his guys in. This staff is pretty much set.
Before you lose your mind, everyone, you meant Mario. You said Manny.
Did I say Manny? Jesus
you said
Christ,
Manny.
Mario.
Don't scare people, man. Don't scare people.
You're gonna get us shut down, Jess.
Manny doesn't know what he's doing. I'm talking about Mario. Mario's got a game plan. He understands what he's trying. He knows what he's doing to bring in the guys that he wants, and the guys that he wants, he's gonna get. All right. So I'm not too worried about the FTW. Said Manny. Yeah, no, Mario, man, Mario. My bad on that. Adam Folds or Foldez. Adam Folds.
But also just real quick on Kevin Wilson. He was the head coach of Indiana for like 5 years. This guy is like big time, but he has Midwest ties, and I don't know that he would. South Florida is a drawing point for a lot of people. I think someone that's basically spent their career in the Midwest coaching the Big Ten, it's probably not that for him.
Right. Absolutely. Adam writes here. By the way, big shout out. You actually want to put that one up? Yep, there we go, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate the dono. When do you guys think the OC and the DC will be named? Is there any smoke to Dorsey coming from the Bills to be the OC QB coach and the play caller? Yeah, so great question, man. And is there smoke? Absolutely. And I am sure that if Flo is still in here in the chat and some other guys, yeah, there's definitely smoke to it, right? There's definitely, I mean, he's definitely one of the guys. He is probably going to, if we wait around too long, which I don't think, again, I think all of these things have already been taken care of, right? I think there's already an OC in place, whether it's Dorsey, whether it's Bryles, whether it's someone else. Couldn't tell you exactly who it is, but there's someone in place already, right? At this point, if it is Dorsey, am I excited about it? Yes, because a lot of people don't understand how much experience Ken Dorsey does have, right? And if you saw the photo that they posted a couple of days ago on Twitter, it was him holding a play sheet, right? So, and they were like, I wonder what he's holding in his hand. It's a play sheet. That doesn't mean he's calling plays. But look, he's got a lot of say in that game plan and what they do over there in Buffalo. And as you can see, one of the top teams in the NFL. So I look in the development of Josh Allen. I mean, there's so many things we can go on about Dorsey and how he developed, Cam Newton in Carolina. So I mean, there's so many different things. Yes, there is smoke about him coming in and being the offensive coordinator, but again, we got to wait and see. And I can only think that we're going to be able to announce something within the next week or so. I think we'll know everything. Everybody will be in the fold already. National championship game will be over. The NFL season for a lot of people will be over. And even if it's not over for the Bills, because obviously they'll be in the playoffs, if it is Ken Dorsey, there's still an opportunity for him to come in already. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things going on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about. How do you guys feel about Ken Dorsey as offensive coordinator?
Yeah, no, I think he would definitely. I'm totally on board with that. I think you mentioned it, but I just to clarify. If you're a quarterback coach, in particular in the NFL, you're not just like standing next to the quarterback in practice teaching him how to throw a football. These are NFL quarterbacks. They kind of know how to do that. So it is a lot of it is the play calling parts of it. It's how to read plays at the line of scrimmage, the keys that they're looking at as a quarterback, when to audible, how to do that, what plays to get into in certain situations. And that's why a lot of quarterback coaches naturally transition to the OC position. So I'm not concerned at all about he hasn't been an OC before thing. Being an NFL quarterbacks coach is, in my opinion, almost as much experience as being a college OC. That's the level of responsibility you have. The amount of audibling the quarterbacks have to do in the NFL, and you have to coach them up into, far outstrips what happens in college. In college, a lot of times the audibles come in from the sideline. They're not necessarily the quarterback doing it on the field, and that's not the case in the NFL. So he's had all that experience. The other thing I would say is, you mentioned the smoke. I would say the one kind of dot connect you can do there is, and this might be completely wrong, at least in my head, though, if it was going to be Bryles, there's no reason not to announce him now. He's got nothing to do with Arkansas. If it's something that you're waiting for a certain team's NFL season to end before pulling the quarterback's coach off the staff, that might be a reason to be waiting.
Yeah, but you know how these guys are. You know how Mario is. Look how long it's taking him to name some of these other guys. So I mean,
yeah, no, that's why I said it might not be the case. But at this point, I feel like if he's already decided, we talked about how he's interviewing. I'll just say the defensive backs coach from Boston College to avoid the issues you guys ran into earlier. But we, he's still doing some interviews, so I don't know that he's necessarily made a decision for sure. He's probably got it narrowed it down and is kind of finalizing. There's a lot of stuff that goes into his contract details. It's not just we decide we want to hire you, you come or not, right? It is. Right. There's a lot of moving parts to bringing in someone. So, so that I'm assuming that stuff's in motion, and that could also be why it's delayed. So it's not necessarily that means it's Dorsey because we haven't announced someone yet. As you said, we haven't announced most of the coaches, so they're obviously not all coming from the NFL, but it would, in my opinion, I don't know that we would necessarily pull him out of that role in the middle of the playoffs. Like I think we would let him finish out the season in Buffalo if he's the guy.
And I don't know how much he's gonna do on the recruiting front also, because he may not be that kind of guy anyway. So I don't know if he's a guy either way.
I mean, I think you're probably okay with from a recruiting standpoint, saying like, "Hey, here's Mario doing recruiting, and we have all these other great recruiters on staff. We mentioned BMAC earlier, and hey, your offensive coordinator is coaching in the AFC Championship game, so he'll be down after that."
Right.
I think that's a pretty good selling point versus versus just rolling some other I think you can just basically say he's occupied right now trying to win the Super Bowl is a good thing, not a bad
reason
thing.
not to, right?
Yeah. That's
DJ.
a good thing, good selling point.
What's your feeling on Ken DJ?
Well, I think when you look at what Ken has done, he's been able to identify and develop talent. And when you look at some of the other coaches on the staff, like Murbaugh and Mcclendon, he fits in with those two in that respect as well. So I definitely think he would be a good fit here because having a coach that can, like I said, identify, develop, and get talent in terms of recruiting, it's hard to find coaches who can do all three these days. Usually, teams have coaches that are specifically recruiting coaches, coaches that are specifically analysts, or coaches that are good technicians. So if they were able to bring in Dorsey, and Miami has three coaches now that can do all three of those things, I think Dorsey would just continue to add to the strength of the staff.
Yep, I totally agree. I actually wanted to okay, so I was able to pull up the roster finally. And some of the other guys that I keep forgetting is there's so many names, right? There's over 100 kids in the state, but another big name is Josh Connerly, which is the big offensive tackle from Washington. 6'5", 275. He's a 5-star. Again, maybe some really good news. Kevin Coleman, obviously the kid out of Missouri. The 5-star wide receiver, which for some reason they bumped him down to a 4-star now. It's ridiculous. Cyrus Moss, the same thing. Cyrus Moss is a big edge guy, 6'6", 220, out of Bishop Gorman, which, by the way, we have a bit of pipeline there now, right? With, Bubba Bolden and Tate Martell.
Tate Martell.
I know, I had to throw him in there.
We'll just also Brevin Jordan,
Brevin Jordan,
maybe
right,
a better
Brevin
person
Jordan.
we should talk.
Yeah.
That
I was gonna say the best for last. Come on.
I don't know who this Tate Martell is you're talking about. I would disavow any knowledge that person ever was here.
Look, there's some guys that the Canes are actively recruiting. I'm gonna throw out a couple of names there just to keep an eye out for. Gentry Williams is a big time athlete. I think he's a defensive back. He's committed to Oklahoma, but his name has been spoken about a little bit. There's some other guys on the West Coast. Travante Citizen, obviously on the West team, is another big time name. I know we were in the run for a couple of these other guys like Jaleel Tucker, but I think he's committed. He's going to stick with Oregon. Devin Jackson is another kid that we recruited hard. He ended up committing to Oregon as well. So there's some of these games. I'm looking over some of these guys here on the West team, and again, I'm not the biggest recruiting guru. So there's some names that I'm just not going to know about that, if we talk to Max or if we talk to Flo about them, they'll be like, yeah, well, that's it. Who the hell is that guy? Well, that guy might be the next guy that commits, right? So Marvin Jones Jr. obviously committed to Georgia. So I don't know if he is a prospect at all for us, but maybe a guy like Micah Williams, who's another Georgia commit. Gosh, there's so many. Jake Johnson, right? Well, Nigel Kelly is going to be in this game, so that'll be fun to watch Nigel play. Jaleel Skinner will be in this game. Another kid that we just offered recently, the last couple of weeks or so, is a big defensive tackle, Christian Miller. Christian Miller, 6'4", 285. He's another big time guy from Georgia, Ellenwood, Cedar Grove, Georgia. That's another big time prospect to keep an eye out for. A big 4-star guy. Oh God, I'm trying. Nick Evers is going to be in this game. So there's a lot. Trevor Etienne, who's the kid brother of Travis Etienne, big time Florida lean. Demario Tolan is another kid that we've been recruiting hard that's playing in this game. The kid out of Orlando, Dr. Phillips, he's committed to LSU, but he has come and visit Miami a lot for their games during the season. So that might be a kid that we may still be going hard after. I know there was a kid, Mario Eugenio, who's committed to Cincinnati, was a Miami prospect for quite some time. Also, So there's a lot of names, right? I would definitely say if you are Francois Knowlton, excuse me, from Edison. He's a 3-star athlete, so good 3-star defensive lineman. Good for him to come in and play in this All American game. A kid out of Edison. So and we all know who the coach at Edison is, right? Don't stop, pop that coochie. Let me see. Yeah. Anyways, it's Luther Campbell. But aside from that, yeah. So there's a lot of big names that are going to be playing this game. I think it's going to be exciting to see. Let's see what else here we got. Yes, Nesta Silvera just entered the portal. Yep, we covered that earlier. He probably got kicked out. Who knows now? But who knows what happened with him? But it's not a big surprise.
I'd actually be surprised if he's the last one. There's some people that are going to meet the new coaches and be like, the same for me.
Here's the thing, right? There's going to be a lot more, and people don't realize it. There's going to be some surprises, and there's going to be some guys that we kind of saw the writing on the wall. If you had to choose, right? So this is a good question, Danny and Vish. I want to get your take on this. If you had to choose how many guys you think are going to transfer in total from now until whenever transfer portal, whatever. But let's just talk about what we think total. How many guys do you think are going to transfer? If you had to put in
question.
You mean that haven't already? Like we're just like going forward, or like we're not counting like Pope and Wiggins and stuff, right?
No, we're not counting those guys, right?
Okay. I would say probably about 5. I would expect
5.
I'd say 6 or 7, honestly.
Yeah.
You gonna go for $1, Jess?
6.1 guys. I wouldn't be surprised in a lot of if you ask Max and these guys, man, I wouldn't be surprised if you get 9 or 10 kids that are going to transfer. And I know there's going to be some surprises, but look, man, the brand of football that Mario wants to play is just not for everybody. Okay, let's just put it that way. And if you're not going to come in here and work hard and bust your ass, you're just not going to play for him.
It's not only that it's not for everybody, it's a pretty big contrast from what was here before. So there, for better or worse, there are players that came through here that excelled under Manny, got drafted, and are doing well in the NFL. So
sure,
that does fit some kids. But if they came in here for turnover chain culture, they're getting something completely different now.
Yeah, there's just some kids that they're just like like the Cam Kitchens of the world, and those guys that work real hard. Those guys are not going to have an issue, right? So it's the guys like Nesta that were notorious for not working too hard. Those are the kids that we need to be careful with. Apparently, he's been in contact with Doug Belk, the defensive coordinator coach at Houston. Also, yes, there has been some rumors that they have been in contact also. So, again, wait and see what happens with those guys. Because I'm not, I don't, I mean, look, if we had to choose who the guys were, we've kind of given our thoughts on who we would like to see as the OC and the DC. But again, there's still some this stuff, and I hate to use it because it's very cliche, and a lot of people use it as an excuse that things are fluid. But sometimes things change. Look what happened with Mastro, right? Like he was getting ready to get on the plane to come down here the next day, and then he found out about some medical health issues with his family and decided to stay on the West Coast, and that's totally understandable. So now you have to go off and you have to look for running backs coach and so on and so forth. So.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, this is when you're talking about the dollar value, even for like your lowest paid on-field coach,
right?
You're still talking about a significant amount of money. You got to work out all the details, like how much of it's guaranteed. Like if they get fired after a year, do they still get paid? Like because these are people like not everyone has Mario money where I've already made so much money at Oregon, I'm gonna make so much money here. It doesn't really matter. Like if you're making in the 6 versus 7 figures and like you get fired and don't get a job for 2 years and aren't getting paid, that's a problem, right? So they need to like iron out all those details, like how many years of this are guaranteed and all that stuff, and the devil's in the details. So like step 1 is deciding there's mutual interest in wanting to hire and the person wanting to come, and then you got to iron everything else out. So this stuff is very complicated, and little things can throw it off. So that's why a lot of times there's a lot of smoke, and it doesn't mean that it wasn't actually true.
Right.
It's just that this stuff can fall apart very easily.
Absolutely. Peyton writes here, Peyton Agnew, what game is Jaleel Skinner in? He's in the U.S. Army All-American Bowl. if you look it up, he's on the roster. So him
Which is
and
what,
Nigel Kelly and a couple other guys.
Yeah, and Adam had pointed that out, so he'd answer that for us.
Right. So we'll see. I think it's going to be exciting. It's going to be an exciting weekend. Make sure you follow us on Twitter this weekend.
Yeah, I am glad you talked about Nigel Kelly too, just because like we get caught up in who's going to commit where. The kids that already have committed to us is good to watch them play too. I think we kind of forget that. Like once they're in, you're like, and especially now that they can sign already, that they're locked in, you're kind of like, oh great, and then you kind of move on to the next people that haven't committed yet. But some of our kids, and there are our kids now, signed, sealed, delivered, are playing in these games, so it's good to cheer them on as well. And
Jaleel did mention that he was going to do some serious recruiting for us in San Antonio. So I mean, listen, the suspense is going to be awesome, and I'm looking forward to it this weekend. Make sure you guys lock into our Twitter, which is at Six Rings Canes. If you see it down here, it's right there. That's the one. At Six Rings Canes, we'll be be tweeting about the All-American game, kind of following on what's going on with all the recruiting action there. Some big commits. I think it's going to be an exciting day for Miami. Hopefully it is. If it's based off of what we've been hearing, well, hey, listen, just get ready for fireworks, okay? So, and make sure you follow us there. I think it's at this point, I think we're just going to be talking a lot about coaching and this coaching staff as it starts to come together, and we'll be excited to talk about that, and we'll bring on some more guests as well to break down some more things. Definitely wanted to thank Steve-O for coming on the show today, for Max popping in a little bit, DJ. Vish, you guys are always awesome. I know where Jaleel is. Okay. All right, Peyton. I'm sure you do. Thank you guys for tuning in. Everybody who tuned in, make sure you follow us, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you like the show. It does help us put out better content and more content on the daily. Make sure you follow these two guys up here. Danny and Vish are putting out some great content on the website too, on 5reasonsports.com. Danny, I know you got some stuff coming up really, really soon, right?
Yeah, definitely. Especially if this weekend goes the way we think it's going to go, then there will definitely be some content coming out.
We can only expect Vish to write something really good if something bad happens. I've been in too good of a mood right now, so even so after we sign off here, basketball is currently playing. They're up 1 against Syracuse with about 11 and a half left. So switch over to ACC Network. Check that out. They were down 18 earlier, so they made a big comeback. So,
wow. Okay. Yeah. And they're playing really well.
First place in the ACC.
That's pretty exciting. They're playing really well. They're 11-3, and then on the baseball side, Carson Palmquist was named the preseason All-American, NCAA All-American, not ACC All-American, NCAA.
We got to have a separate show for that, Jazz. We got to talk about whether we want to be the closer in the rotation, because I feel like we need to start him. But
we're gonna lose viewers if we do that right now.
Yeah, so. No, we'll have a baseball show. Get our 8 viewers on, and do that thing.
That'll be fun. Again, thank you guys for joining us on the show. Follow us at Six Rings Kings on Twitter and on Instagram. We're on there both, posting some cool content, and of course the show every Wednesday at 8:30 on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel, on the YouTube Network channel as well. And thank you to Everything Trade Shows and to Prize Picks as well. So we do appreciate the sponsorship also. Make sure you give us a like. And yes. Oh, and really quick before we leave, yes, $2 million from Johnny Ruiz, John Ruiz's camp for baseball upgrades, specifically the weight room. So that's really exciting. Good news there. It'll continue to grow. This is going to be crazy. This is going to be wild. So I think it's going to be exciting to watch and follow everything as we go. Thanks a lot again. Jazz Santana, Vish, Danny Gillette. Thank you guys. You all have a good night.